is called Kramnik's Cheating Gambit, a geopolitical view on the cheating debate. All right, this is an article from May 24, 2024, so about what, like two and a half weeks ago. Welcome to this week's newsletter of Say Chess. The newsletter now goes out to 4637 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, you're interested in topics like chess, publishing, chess world, joining us. Okay, all right. Why is it says, why is Vladimir Kramnik risking his reputation and legacy by accusing people left and right of cheating? Entitled Tuesday on chess.com. And this is a comment by Superb Confection 8321. This looks like a Reddit comment. It says, how does Kramnik not realize that accuracy is not correlated with the strength at which one plays? If you play with a sharp and unbalancing style as Magnus and Hikaru do in TT, then your opponents will tend to have lower accuracies. And if you're an old washed man who plays boring chess, your opponents will tend to play boring and less blunder prone chess. Why is this so hard to understand? And then we have this comment from Drooping Uvula, which says, it's not hard to understand. He's just delusional and narcissistic. Now, the important thing to point out about this is first and foremost, is that it is very true. Like there are a couple of players, two players specifically, who I know have been accused, who I don't believe are cheating, who play very boring and dry chess. Now, I'll tell you those two players. The two players who I know who play very boring and dry chess with white and black are, of course, Denis Lazovic from Belarus and Dmitry Andreikin from Russia. Now, both those guys play very, very boring chess. They play openings like the Catalan. It's extremely dry, or these very dry Queen's Gambit declines. I know Andreikin plays the French mostly with black. Sometimes he plays Sicilian, but almost always he's playing the French. And these guys play chess like it's like watching paint dry on the wall. They play very, very boring, very slow, grinding openings, very limited piece play and choices to try and squeeze out some extra wins. So your accuracy is always going to be higher if you play that style of chess. That is just the reality. So as we keep going with the article, it says, in my post, what chess players need to know about chess.com's accuracy score. I wrote about why using the chess.com accuracy score is a poor tool for cheat detection. However, it seems that statistics and scientific methods are not important to Kramnik in his attacks on chess.com and the title players competing in Title Tuesdays. He continues to throw out random numbers. The latest victim was the always polite GM David Navarra, who wrote an excellent blog post about the effect the attack had on him. Now, this is actually an important point to make, which is, this is one thing that really to me is very disappointing, is that it's very clear to me that Kramnik thinks these things, he thinks it's a bit of a joke, and it's like, if you're being accused falsely, it's not going to affect you at all. But he's 100% dead wrong, and I can give you a direct example, which is of course myself. When Kramnik started accusing me in, I think it was like October or November of last year, around that time, I played this tournament, the Chess Champions Tour final in Toronto, which I think was in November, early November of 2023. So I played in early 2023 or late 2023 in the Champions Chess Tour, and I did very, very poorly because I was just so taken aback by the whole thing. Like, it made no sense to me why he was going on and suddenly attacking me, and I played horribly. I played terribly in the Chess Champions Tour. It cost me a chance. I don't want to say I would have won the event, because I think that's being way too egotistical, and probably, I mean, maybe if I make the finals, I lose to Magnus and whatever else, like everybody else did. But I played very poorly. Now, fortunately for me, by the end of the event, I was able to recover a little bit. I still finished in a relatively respectable 5th place, but I played horribly. It had a huge effect on me because I was so confused by the whole thing. I mean, you're talking about someone like, in my case, that I played against many times over in years past, someone I played over the board, someone that I talked to many times, someone I played late night blitz with after one of the Norway chesses, someone who I actually had a ton of respect for, and then suddenly you see this thing coming from out of nowhere, and it had a huge effect. Now, that's me, someone who, honestly, I have everything going for me. I'm not someone who's just like sitting out there minding their own business and whatever else, the way that, say, someone like David Navarra is. So this is what I think is really disappointing about the whole thing. It's very clear to me. I mean, Kramnik can't know that, I guess you could say, because at the end of the day, well, I guess he has been accused of cheating, if we're being fair, but anyway, let's keep going. It says Kramnik is of course denying that he is accusing anyone, but just presenting facts. But cherry-picking data and presenting it in the way he does will be perceived as an accusation. Bad statistics can sometimes be worse than no statistics, according to GM David Navarre. It feels inherently wrong that many are swayed by Kramnik's discourse, which critiques chess.com's anti-cheating measures. On the YouTube channel Levitov Chess, run by Ilya Levitov, the former Russian Chess Federation chairman, Kramnik has been given a platform for his mathematical proofs. The method follows the classic online engagement trick that suggests you will get 10 times more engagement by saying something slightly wrong compared to saying something neutral and factual. Okay, so let's keep going. Eric Alabest, or I scrolled too far, Eric Alabest, chess.com CEO, has also been interviewed and had to defend the way chess.com handles online cheating. My overall impression is that chess.com has been playing defense. While Kramnik, leveraging his status as a former world champion, has managed to dominate the online conversation, some might argue that Kramnik has become an erratic madman. But what if he hasn't gone mad? I'm getting bored, sorry. Well, we're covering some content. First, we should ask, what is Kramnik's role in the chess world besides being a former champion? Currently, he is a member of the FIDE advisory board. Wow. Well, that says a lot, actually. I didn't know this. He's a member of the FIDE advisory board. Really? Okay. Really? This is very important because I suspect this article might have been written before David Navarro filed an ethics complaint. But when Navarro filed a complaint with the FIDE Ethics Commission, I believe he was basically told that we can't do anything about it. That's playing into Kramnik's hands. But this is very clearly, I think, a conflict of interest if he's actually on the FIDE advisory board. Like, this should not be allowed. This should not be the case. So, according to the regulations of the advisory board, the board's main objective is the board provides advisory opinions, recommendations, and or makes research with respect to FIDE international cooperation and to organizing the World Chess Championship cycle. Opinion, research, and recommendation may be specifically requested on other issues by the FIDE president or by the FIDE council. Kramnik was appointed to the board in August 2022. He started his blog on chess.com in October 2023. Although these events aren't directly linked, it's important to consider the broader context. Okay. Wait a second. Okay, I actually was unaware of this. This is interesting. This is actually interesting. What else could motivate Kramnik? In a recent interview on April 3rd with Russian site sportexpress.ru, Zoya Arnatskaya, the manager of Jan Nepomniachtchi, revealed details about a new chess site project she is working on, which also involves Kramnik. Okay. In the article, the site is introduced in the following way. A domestic analog of the chess.com platform, chess.com My Chess, was launched in Russia at the end of March. The project, which will allow Russian chess players to play online within their own ecosystem, is led by Jan Nepomniachtchi's manager, Zoya Arnatskaya. In an interview with Essie, she talks about the platform's extensive plans in anti-cheating with the expertise of Vladimir Kramnik and Nepomniachtchi's state before his third career candidates tournament, translated from Russian. Okay. Interestingly enough, Kramnik is mentioned as a close collaborator for the anti-cheating work on the news site. Regarding anti-cheating, did you consult with the main anti-cheating fighter in online chess, Vladimir Kramnik? The main anti-cheating fighter. Wow, that is so sad. So sad. What a bubble they live in. We have a mathematical model, a reinforcement system, and comments from Vladimir Borisovich. Kramnik is in close contact with our mathematicians and periodically gives them complex tasks. It is certainly pleasant when a world champion, a person who's delved into the nuances of online play, shares his expertise with us and tells us what needs improvement. This is hilarious, by the way, because also when you talk about, they're acting as though Kramnik knows what he's talking about. If you want, I'll give you an example. I don't have to like Jan Nepomniachtchi, for example. There are many people that he's said things about behind the scenes, even if he's careful not to say it publicly. Although in the C-squared he hinted at something. But what I would say is that someone like Jan, who's played online chess for the last 20 years, is much more in tune with what could happen or what is possible than someone like Kramnik, who's only been playing online for the last couple of years. Kramnik is in no way one of the foremost experts at all. He simply is not. That is just the reality. Like, again, as I said, I don't have to be a fan of Nepo, but someone like Nepo who's actually played online since he was a young kid, someone who's played for 20 plus years online, they are going to have a much better idea of what is or is not possible than someone who's played for a few years. This is already basically giving someone this credibility because they're a former world champion. It's just not right at all. It simply isn't. So while Kramnik has been attacking chess.com, he has also been advising a new Russian chess site about anti-cheating measures. Zoya Arnatskaya also mentions that they're in contact with FIDE and regional federations and that the target countries in the first go are BRIC countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and the UAE. Great. Great. This looks like something that Putin could have written himself, honestly. I mean, literally, like BRIC countries, of course. BRIC countries. Yeah. Hilarious. Jeez. But I will say, though, you know what? You know what? They can try and do this, but I'm going to be honest. When you look at these countries that are playing, I'm pretty sure the Indian kids, all these great players, they're doing quite fine playing on chess.com against Magnus, myself, and others. You look at these Iranians also, like Parham and Ali Reza and others, they're doing just fine playing as the best players on chess.com. So good luck with that. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's turn the table and look at this from a Russian perspective. It seems clear that Russia has a firm grip on FIDE with Arkady Dvorkovich as FIDE president. However, chess.com has taken over global dominance of the online chess world since the merger and takeover of the Play Magnus group by the end of 2022. The online tournament boom following COVID significantly increased chess.com's influence as a larger share of the global tournament economy and viewership shifted online. Meanwhile, Russia isn't producing as many new talented chess players as it used to. India is likely to become the future #1 country in terms of playing strength very soon, if it hasn't already, which presents another challenge to the former leading chess nation. Also very true, by the way. If I look at the future, I'll tell you guys the 4 countries that really inspire confidence in me right now are India, obviously, Uzbekistan with Sindarov, Noderbek, and Yakubov, and they've got like 20 good junior players in Uzbekistan. So India, Uzbekistan, Iran, which has some great junior players. You have Parham, you have Amin, you have Ali Reza, you have like Sina Movahad. You've got a lot of very talented players in Iran too. So yeah, you have like India, Iran, Uzbekistan, and then the fourth one that I think they're not there yet, but the fourth country that I think is going to start producing more and more juniors, I don't really know why, is going to be Turkey. That's probably the fourth one that I think is very likely that you only have one who's a super talent right now in Yegiz Khan Erdogmus. But you have like Adiz Gurel, you have that IM that I played, Donkey Kong, on chess.com, who's probably going to become a GM if he can play over the board. So I think Turkey is going to be the other country. I think those 4 countries are probably the countries which have the brightest future when you look at the juniors who are already improving and becoming very, very good. So moving forward, we have in 2022, Nepomniachtchi and Partners bought the World Chess Club in Moscow from World Chess, a company I've earlier written about. What is the company World Chess all about? The vision is to develop chess in Russia and to create a concept of a chess ecosystem that includes a chess school and a grandmaster school for young talent. This is where if I planned out my content, I would hit a button and we'd start playing the national anthem of the USSR. In the earlier interview cited, Zoya Arnotskaya also mentions the vision of creating a Russian chess ecosystem. Nepomniachtchi is like Kramnik, though more subtle, hinting that there is a cheating problem in Title Tuesdays on chess.com. Yeah, okay. Kramnik's actions, therefore, may not only be interpreted as a lone crusader, but in the context of an agenda to create a Russian chess ecosystem as an alternative to chess.com. In this context, it is less important that the statistics presented live up to scientific methods, as long as you put doubt in the heads of the players and viewers, you have already succeeded. This is a very good point. Exactly. By casting suspicions on chess.com's methods, Kramnik undermines the confidence in the platform, thus advancing the strategic goals of those who wish that chess.com doesn't gain much more power. Is there only one Russian agenda? Below you can see an old photo from 5 years ago, before the invasion of Ukraine, from Nepomniachtchi's Instagram account. In the photo, we have Putin, Karyakin, and Kramnik all lined up. Nepomniachtchi, I think, is somewhere in the back. The invasion of Ukraine created a divide between the Russian chess elite. Okay, yeah, this picture is a big yikes. I wonder how many of these people in this picture are actually still in Russia too. Like Vidyugov, for example, he left Russia. Alexandra Kosteniuk, I think she left Russia. I think Modilev also in the back here next to Vidyugov. I think at least 3 people in this picture have left Russia. At least 3, if not more. I also am not sure if I think Ryazantsev is still in Russia, but I'm not 100% sure. So many of these guys have actually already left Russia. Yeah. While Nepomniachtchi signed an open letter with a call to stop the war, Kramnik was not one of the players to place a signature. Later in 2023, Kramnik gave an interview to ChessBase where he explained his view. He stated, "I will express my views on this tragic situation when I decide to do so, but only after this empty Vanity Fair and witch hunt, which I must admit makes me quite angry, has ended. That is my main human position." Kramnik's statement was vague and filled with empty words. In contrast, Karyakin has been an outspoken supporter of the war, even receiving a 6-month ban from FIDE for his political activities. Understanding the real agenda of the Russian chess elite is difficult for outsiders, as there are likely various factions with different visions for chess. Final thoughts. Kramnik's campaign against chess.com is mainly described and seen as a personal vendetta, but it can also be seen as presented in this post as a strategic move within a broader political context. By questioning the integrity of chess.com, he might be advancing a vision that aligns with pro-Russian goals in the chess world. It therefore remains crucial to critically question Kramnik's motives. Yeah, this is actually very this is quite an interesting article. I was unaware that Kramnik is actually directly involved with FIDE. That makes me wonder a lot about the ethics complaint that Navarra filed. I mean, the fact that he's on an actual advisory board within FIDE, like when you see Emil Satovsky, the CEO of FIDE, come out and say that, you know, it's only playing further into Kramnik's hands if you do anything about it with the ethics complaint, this really feels like a conflict of interest, and it definitely is very concerning. Very, very concerning. So just one little bit of content that I want to start by covering. It is kind of yeah, it is kind of scary. So anyway, that's the first thing. I think we have more content to cover. So yeah, what's let me see, what is next? Is there another thing? What's this? Is this the next one? I think it's the same. No rating points lost. Yeah, no rating points lost. I'm not surprised. What's the link? I'll put the link in chat so you guys have it. So yeah, so actually a FIDE official accused you if you look at it closely. I mean, theoretically, yes, theoretically, I guess that's a way of looking at it. But yeah, this is, I mean, I'm not shocked to read this perspective, but I was unaware that he's actually he's on a FIDE board. I mean, that actually is very disappointing to see. That part of it I was not aware of. But anyway, let's keep moving on.